Look, right now you're stuck in one version of reality, but here's the thing. Countless other possibilities are literally humming around you. You just can't see them yet. They're there though, just beyond your current frequency, waiting for you to tune in. But most folks, they're trapped in the same loop. Day after day, getting the same results, feeling the same frustrations, and wondering why nothing ever shifts even though they're desperate for something different. Let me break something wide open for you. You're not stuck because the universe hates you or karma's punishing you. Nope. You're stuck because your whole system, your mind, your body, your emotions, your energy is still dialed into the old frequency. The one that keeps replaying the same show. You can't wish your way out of this. You can't muscle through it either. And pretending? The quantum field sees right through that nonsense. Here's what actually works. You've got to step into a completely new state of being. Not halfway, not when you feel like it, fully. So fully that the quantum field has zero choice but to reflect back something totally different. Now, most people think manifestation is just about wanting stuff really badly. Like if you desire something enough, the universe will finally cave and deliver it. But that's not how this works at all. The field doesn't care how desperately you want change. It responds to your frequency alignment. That's it. So even if you're doing all the right things, saying affirmations, making vision boards, visualizing like crazy, you might still be broadcasting the old timeline. Why? Because underneath all that surface level stuff, your body is hardwired for what it knows. Your nervous system is literally addicted to those old emotional patterns. Your subconscious is pumping out signals of fear, doubt, and not enough, while your conscious mind is screaming, I want abundance.
I want love!
I want success. And here's the kicker that nobody talks about. The quantum field listens to your dominant signal, not your loudest one. Let that sink in for a second. Your dominant signal comes from your entire system's vibration. Not just what you're thinking, but what you're actually feeling. What you're genuinely expecting. What you're embodying in every cell. That's why you can repeat, I am wealthy, 1,000 times. But if your stomach clenches with anxiety every time a bill shows up, the field picks up that contraction, not your affirmation. That's why you can visualize your dream relationship all day long. But if your heart is locked up tight behind walls, the field registers isolation, not connection. This is the trap that keeps people spinning. They think change starts on the outside with circumstances, with actions, with results showing up. But quantum shifts, they start inside, with your state, with coherence, with alignment. You've got to become the version of you that already exists in that desired timeline, not someday when the evidence arrives. Now. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. Quantum physics tells us that every possible outcome already exists simultaneously in the field of potential. Every timeline, every version of you, every result you could ever imagine, they're all already vibrating out there in the quantum soup. When you shift your vibration, you're not creating something from scratch. You're collapsing into the version that's been waiting for you this whole time. This is why mystics, inventors, brilliant minds throughout history have talked about frequency, numbers, codes. Tesla famously said, if you knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you'd hold the key to the universe. These aren't magic spells. They point to universal patterns, to harmonics, to the deep truth that reality organizes itself around vibration. So the question isn't, how do I get what I want? The real question is, who do I need to become vibrationally to match the timeline where that already exists? And becoming isn't pretending. It's not faking it till you make it. It's not performing for an audience. Becoming is a full body, full soul shift into coherence. This is where the quantum shift begins. You're not here to fight the old timeline. You're here to rise into the frequency of the new one. But before we go deeper, I want you to pause for a moment. Really pause. What version of you has been making your choices today? What timeline have you been feeding with your focus, your attention, your energy? And honestly, are you ready to let that version go so something new can emerge? Sit with those questions. Breathe into them. Feel where they push against something inside you. Because in the next part, we're diving into the invisible forces that keep you locked in the old loop. The resistance, the subconscious patterns, the emotional imprints, and how they hijack every attempt you make to shift. This is the layer nobody warns you about. It's why so many people know all the manifestation theory but never actually experience the transformation. Ready to uncover it? So let's talk about why people don't actually shift. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want it badly enough. And it's definitely not because they're doing manifestation wrong. It's because they're still tangled up with the version of themselves that's wired to survive the old timeline. And that version? It's outdated, but it's familiar. And your subconscious mind loves familiar way more than it loves progress. The old timeline doesn't need your permission to keep running. It just needs your participation. Every time you react the same way, tell yourself the same story, expect the same outcome, boom, the signal gets reinforced. It's like a worn path in your brain. The more you walk it, the deeper the groove gets. And eventually that path becomes automatic. You're not choosing your timeline anymore. It's choosing you. Here's where quantum physics and neuroscience collide in a way most people completely miss. In quantum mechanics, there's this thing called the observer effect. It tells us that observation collapses a wave of infinite potential into one single event, a particle, a choice, a reality. But here's the twist. You're not just observing reality with your eyes. You're observing it with your beliefs, your emotions, your expectations. Now add neuroscience to the mix. 95% of your behavior is driven by your subconscious mind, which stores all your emotional conditioning, trauma, beliefs, identity patterns, everything. This means most of the time, it's not your conscious intention collapsing the wave. It's your subconscious programming. Let that land for a second. You're trying to manifest from the 5% of you that's awake and aware, while 95% of you is still tuned to fear, lack, distrust, survival mode, and the quantum response to the dominant signal. So when people say manifestation doesn't work, what they're really saying is, I haven't shifted the internal observer that's collapsing my reality yet. This is why people loop. This is why you can change your job, your partner, your city, and still find yourself caught in the same emotional patterns. Because nothing external can override an internal frequency that hasn't changed. Let me put it differently. The timeline can't shift if the observer hasn't. So what's keeping you anchored in the old one? Usually it's resistance, and resistance is sneaky as hell. It shows up as overthinking, as procrastination, as emotional numbness, as hyperproductivity, as fear dressed up as logic, as that voice saying, be realistic. But resistance always comes down to one thing. Your system believes it's safer to stay where you are, even if you hate it, than to leap into the unknown. And that belief lives in your body. Stored trauma, emotional suppression, inherited fears. They're all coded into your nervous system. That's why you can know something intellectually but still can't live it. That's why affirmations fall flat. Why visualizations fade. Why you keep falling back into those same old cycles. The resistance isn't in your mindset. It's in your chemistry. When your nervous system is dysregulated, it sends a threat signal to the field. Even when your mouth is saying, I'm ready, that energetic contradiction keeps collapsing the same limited outcomes. It's not personal. It's physics. Tesla once said, if you want to understand the universe's secrets, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That wasn't metaphorical. It was literal. Your life is a frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, posture, breath, they all create a vibrational pattern that either aligns with your desired timeline or pushes it away. This is why people are drawn to numbers like 369 or sacred geometry. They intuitively sense that the universe speaks in patterns, that frequencies aren't random, they're encoded into reality itself. You're not just a person navigating life. You're a frequency generator embedded in a responsive field. And you've been broadcasting the same old pattern for so long, you've mistaken it for who you are. But here's the good news. You don't have to fight that pattern. You just have to stop feeding it. Let me ask you, where are you still vibrating in fear while declaring faith? Where are you still bracing for rejection while seeking love? Where are you still trying to attract abundance while feeling unworthy of it? These subtle contradictions are what keep timelines from shifting. In the next part, we're exploring what it actually takes to shift timelines, not in theory, but in real, felt, embodied practice. You'll learn how to align your conscious and subconscious, how to regulate your body into coherence, and how to start showing up as the version of you that already lives inside the new reality. But before we move forward, I want to invite you into something real. If you're feeling like something's clicking into place right now, if part of you is waking up to your own power, subscribe. Stay in this space. Grow with us, and in the comments, drop one word. Just one word that represents the loop you're ready to break. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's scarcity. Maybe it's silence. Whatever it is, call it out. Not for me, for you. Because naming the loop is the first step to dissolving it. Now we're at the part most people never reach. Not because it's hidden, but because it's so simple they overlook it. Shifting timelines isn't about forcing the quantum field to obey you. It's about aligning so completely with the version of you who already lives that desired reality, that the old timeline can't hold you anymore. Let's break this down. Think of the quantum field like a massive ocean of possibility. Every timeline, every version of you, every outcome, they all exist in that ocean as waves. When you focus, when you observe, when you align, you collapse a specific wave into form. But here's the key. You don't collapse the wave by wanting it. You collapse it by matching it, and matching isn't just mental. It's emotional, physical, vibrational. It's how your entire system hums when you're in coherence. So why do people struggle to match the new timeline? Because they're trying to get there by thinking about it. They intellectualize the shift. I know abundance is available. I know love is possible. I know I can heal, but knowing isn't enough. Your body needs to know. Your emotions need to know. Your breath, your posture, your habits, your identity, they all need to signal. I am the version of me who belongs in this timeline now. This is where embodiment comes in. And embodiment isn't a buzzword. It's the missing link. It's practicing inhabiting the frequency you want before the external world gives you permission. Let me give you examples. If you're shifting into an abundance timeline, embodiment might mean spending money with trust instead of panic. Breathing into your body when that not enough fear rises instead of collapsing into anxiety. Showing up to opportunities with openness instead of bracing for disappointment. If you're shifting into a love timeline, embodiment might mean softening your heart when you want to shut down. Taking emotional risks. Practicing vulnerability even when your old wounds are screaming at you to hide. If you're shifting into a health timeline, embodiment might mean treating your body as though it's already healing, already regenerating, feeding it with respect, moving it with gratitude, resting it with love. See the pattern? You don't wait for the timeline to shift before you start living differently. You start living differently and the timeline shifts. This is why so many manifestation efforts fail. They're conditional. I'll feel grateful when I get the job. I'll relax when I find the relationship. I'll feel abundant when the money arrives. But the quantum doesn't work that way. The field isn't testing you or punishing you. It's reflecting you. And reflection happens instantly. not after some delay. This brings us back to Tesla's wisdom, the 369. The universal patterns encoded into reality. These aren't superstitions. They're reminders pointing us back to the truth that life organizes itself around energy, not effort. So the real work becomes, can you become coherent? Can you bring your mind, heart, body, and actions into alignment even when nothing external has changed yet? Can you hold the signal long enough for the wave to collapse? Because here's the paradox nobody talks about. The timeline doesn't shift when you get tired of waiting. The timeline shifts when waiting is no longer part of your frequency. Pause. Breathe that in. This is the quantum code. The version of you who has what you desire isn't in the future. They're vibrating now, on a frequency you can access today. The question is, will you tune to it? Before we move forward, reflect on this. What would your day look like if you acted, breathed, and moved as the version of you who's already in the desired timeline? What small choices would change? What emotional habits would shift? What conversations would end or begin? This isn't about grand gestures. It's about subtle, persistent alignment. In the next section, we'll explore how to turn these insights into practice. How to stop looping through information and start living the shift, moment by moment. Are you ready to embody the timeline you've been trying to chase? Let's begin here. The only practice that matters is the one you actually live. We're in an age where it's ridiculously easy to consume knowledge, gather techniques, binge manifestation videos, and yet never integrate any of it. Why? Because consuming feels like progress. But progress only happens when your body, your breath, your actions start matching the information. So how do we bring the quantum shift into daily life? First, understand the principle of micro-alignment. Most people think shifting timelines requires massive, dramatic changes. But quantum reality responds to coherence, not size. A small act done with pure, aligned intention can carry more vibrational weight than a giant, frantic gesture done from desperation. Let's break this into real-life examples. If you're shifting toward abundance, your practice might be breathing deeply when scarcity thoughts arise instead of spiraling into fear. Expressing gratitude for small resources, amplifying the signal of "I have enough." Spending money with presence and trust rather than panic or guilt. If you're shifting toward love, your practice might be opening your posture when you want to shrink or hide. Reaching out with kindness instead of withdrawing into self-protection. Speaking words of affection, even when vulnerability feels terrifying. If you're shifting toward health, your practice might be tuning into the subtle sensations of vitality already present in your body. Choosing foods, movements, and rest with the energy of respect, not punishment. Catching that inner dialogue of criticism and shifting it to support. These small acts are quantum keys. They tell the field, this is who I am now. Not who I'm trying to become someday, who I've decided to be today. But here's what most people miss. The practice isn't about perfection. It's about returning. You will wobble. You will fall back into old loops. You will catch yourself thinking, feeling, or acting from the old timeline. This doesn't mean you failed. It means you're alive. The power isn't in never slipping. The power is in how quickly you come back. Every time you notice yourself slipping into the old frequency and gently guide yourself back, you strengthen the new timeline. Every time you pause, breathe, and choose coherence over chaos, you reinforce the shift. Every time you act as though the new reality is already true, even when the external world hasn't caught up yet, you collapse the wave. This is the dance of quantum embodiment. Now let's talk about tools. For some people, practices like breathwork, meditation, visualization help tune the system. For others, using sacred symbols, numbers like 369 or 777, or sound frequencies feels powerful. These tools aren't magic tricks. They're anchoring devices, They help your subconscious receive the message, I am attuned to the new reality. But remember, no tool works without embodied participation. You can't outsource your shift to a ritual. The ritual works because you work. So here's your invitation for today. Identify one pattern from the old timeline you're ready to disrupt. Choose one small, practical act that embodies the new timeline. Commit to practicing that act today with presence, sincerity, love. It might be something as small as pausing for 3 conscious breaths before reacting. It might be choosing to speak one sentence from your desired self, not your fearful self. It might be sitting quietly and visualizing yourself surrounded by the frequency of your chosen reality. It's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. And the beauty is, the quantum doesn't need time to catch up. It responds in the now. As you step into this practice, remember you're not alone. You're part of a collective of beings awakening to their power, rediscovering their creative nature, learning how to dance with the field. And this channel, this space, is here to walk alongside you. So before we head into the final part of this journey, the part where we explore how to sustain the shift and truly live inside the new timeline, I invite you. If this video has stirred something in you, if you're feeling the pulse of possibility opening inside you, hit subscribe. Stay close to this community. Stay close to these conversations, and in the comments, share one small act you're committing to today. Something that anchors you into your new timeline. It could be as simple as breathe or trust or open. Your word matters. Your act matters because you matter. So here we are at the final step of this journey together. You've traveled through the science, the energy, the subconscious layers, the embodied practices. But now comes the most important part, sustaining the shift. Because the quantum field doesn't care if you visit the new timeline once. It reshapes around you when you live there. Most people approach manifestation like a single event. They visualize, affirm, journal, wait, and when results don't show up immediately, they collapse back into the old frequency, not realizing that the true magic, the real transformation, is in staying. Sustainability is the master key of quantum shift. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean forcing yourself to feel good all the time. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending you're high vibe when you're not. It means developing the emotional and energetic capacity to return, again and again, to alignment. Every time you wobble and come back, you strengthen the signal. Every time you notice an old loop pulling at you and gently choose the new timeline instead, you reinforce the shift. Every time you act, speak, breathe, and choose as though you already live in the desired state, the old timeline loses its grip. This isn't punishment. This is mastery. You're learning how to become the quantum signal that collapses the wave. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, as a way of life. Let me offer you a simple roadmap. First, daily awareness. Start your day not with your to-do list, but with attuning. Ask yourself, what frequency am I bringing into today? Are you carrying fear or trust? Expecting struggle or flow? Set the intention even before your feet hit the ground. Second, embodied action. Throughout your day, practice micro-alignment. Notice when your actions match your desired timeline and when they don't. If you want abundance, are you acting with generosity or scarcity? If you want love, are you opening or armoring? If you want health, are you nurturing or neglecting? Small, repeated shifts matter more than occasional big leaps. Third, emotional regulation. You will get triggered. You will fall into doubt. This is human. The power lies not in avoiding it, but in returning. Breathe, ground, reconnect with the version of you who already knows. This is who I am now. Fourth, community and symbols. Surround yourself with reminders. Symbols like numbers, mantras, sacred images that anchor you into coherence. Stay close to communities and voices that reinforce your chosen timeline. Let the external world become an ally, not a distraction. Finally, gratitude as amplifier. Gratitude is the emotional signature of already having. When you practice gratitude, you signal to the quantum, I am aligned. I am receptive. I am whole. This amplifies your field's coherence and accelerates the collapse of the desired timeline. Remember, you're not doing this to get somewhere. You're doing this because this is the somewhere. You're not chasing the timeline. You are becoming the timeline. I want to thank you for walking this journey with me. You're not the same person who pressed play on this video. You're vibrating slightly differently. You're carrying new awareness, a new code, a new possibility inside you. The real magic isn't in remembering everything we've talked about. The real magic is in what you do next. So here's my invitation. Not homework, not a checklist, just a living, breathing invitation. In the next 24 hours, surprise yourself. Do one thing, just one, that belongs to the version of you living in your desired timeline. Maybe it's a choice, a gesture, a conversation, or even a private shift inside your mind or heart. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be real. And when you do it, know this. You're no longer waiting for change. You are being it. If this video has stirred something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe. Not because you're following a channel, but because you're stepping into a space where these kinds of awakenings are our baseline, where we keep raising the frequency together. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for daring to become more of who you really are. Keep going. Keep choosing. Keep surprising yourself. Because when you do, the quantum field always responds.